Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kate Singh. I am the Chief Communications Officer for the 4th Judicial District Attorney's Office. We are here to provide you with an update in the criminal case against Kimberly Singler, a Colorado Springs mother of 3, who in December of 2023 fled the country after CSPD officers discovered the bodies of 2 of her 3 children and the third alive, but suffering from significant injuries. Joining us for today's briefing, District Attorney Michael Allen, Colorado Springs Police Chief Adrian Vasquez, Senior Deputy District Attorneys Christina Perroni and Angelina Gratiano. On behalf of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Acting Special Agent in Charge Marv Massey, and Supervisory Senior Resident Agent Brian Hewitt. After our speakers conclude their remarks, we will have time for questions. 2 things to keep in mind, please. The surviving victim, immediate and extended family members have asked that we express today their wish for privacy now and until further notice. And a reminder that Ms. Singler's criminal case is open, and our ability to provide information regarding her case or the related investigation will be very limited. On that note, a booking photo will be made available from CSPD on their social media channels when that's available. First, I will introduce District Attorney Michael Allen.
Thank you all for being here. It's a momentous day today. Kimberly Singler is back in the United States and is in custody here in the 4th Judicial District. Today marks the first step in the criminal justice process for this defendant and the victims in this case. The work of so many began immediately when the burglary call came in on December 19th, 2023. And this announcement comes just over 2 years after she was connected to gruesome crimes committed here in Colorado Springs. During the investigation, CSPD developed probable cause to believe Ms. Singler caused the deaths of 2 of her children and significant injuries to her 3rd surviving child. During the investigation, it was learned that Ms. Singler had left the United States. Investigators, though, were able to track her to London, where she was taken into custody on December 30th, 2023. Extradition efforts immediately began through partnership with this office, officials with the Department of Justice and the State Department, and government officials in the United Kingdom. On February 8, 2024, while extradition was pending, my office filed a criminal complaint against Ms. Singler, the defendant in this case. The case number is 2023 CR 5656. It is a 7-count complaint that includes the following charges: 2 counts of murder in the 1st degree after deliberation and with intent. Those are Class 1 felony charges. 2 counts of murder in the 1st degree, victim, child under 12 years of age, also a Class 1 felony. 1 count of attempted murder in the 1st degree after deliberation with intent, a Class 2 felony. 1 count of attempted murder in the 1st degree, child under 12 years of age, a Class 2 felony. And 1 count of assault in the 1st degree, a Class 3 felony. Those Class 1 felony charges, if a conviction is achieved on those charges, carry a life in prison without parole sentence. Next steps in this case include that she will be scheduled for a bond hearing and a first appearance in the coming days, though we don't have any court scheduling to give you today. Because the top charges include murder in the 1st degree, this defendant will be held without bond pending a preliminary hearing, which is required to occur within 30 days of her first appearance. At the preliminary hearing, evidence will be presented sufficient to satisfy probable cause findings and proof evident presumption great. The proof evident presumption great finding, if the court makes that finding, allows the court to hold her without bond pending a trial. It's important to note that, as with all criminal defendants, including this defendant, criminal charges are merely accusations, and this defendant, like all defendants, are presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. At this time, I want to just thank some partner agencies that were involved in this process. First of all, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and we've got 2 members here with us today. The U.S. Department of Justice's Office of International Affairs, the Colorado Springs Police Department, which was the primary investigative agency involved with this case and put in a lot of man hours to get to the point of being able to satisfy our burden for charging. The Colorado Springs Fire Department, the Metropolitan Police Service of London, the UK National Extradition Unit of the National Crime Agency Joint International Crime Centre, the Crown Prosecution Service of England and Wales and other UK authorities, the State Department, Interpol, the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, and the Colorado Department of Corrections. With that, I want to turn it over to Colorado Springs Police Department Chief Adrian Vasquez. Chief.
Thank you, DA Allen, and thank you all for being here. Today really is a significant milestone in this criminal investigation involving Kimberly Singler. Singler is accused of committing an unthinkable act, really a reprehensible act. The murder of a 9-year-old daughter, a 7-year-old son, and then the attempted murder of her then 11-year-old daughter, the sister to those that she has lost. Crimes as horrific as this are simply heart-wrenching. They're just simply sad. No person, much less a child, should ever have to go through something like this. I know that these acts have deeply impacted our community, and our hearts remain with the victims, this now 13-year-old daughter, the family members, and everyone affected. I commit that we will continue partnering with the FBI, with the DA's office, and with our local partners to ensure that we see this through so that justice is served. While we recognize the amount of public interest in this case, we want to make sure, as DA Allen mentioned, that we stay true to the integrity of this investigation so that we can hand over the best possible case to the District Attorney's Office. I will share an update on efforts to return Singler to Colorado Springs. For nearly 2 years, while various European legal processes played out, our homicide detectives have tirelessly continued to work on this case. Their work has been supported by numerous federal partners and law enforcement on an international level. In recent weeks, these collaborative efforts became critical in the court in the United Kingdom, ordered Singler's extradition. Later, the European Court of Human Rights refused to hear her appeal, clearing the way for her to return to the United States. Working in close coordination with the FBI and the Department of Justice, representatives from the FBI and CSPD traveled to London over this week, where they took Singler into custody and escorted her back to the United States. As we speak, Singler is back in our jurisdiction, in our judicial district, and that's a great win. None of this would have been possible without the professionalism, dedication, and the relationship. And I want to really talk about that for just a second, the extreme incredible relationship that we have, not only with our federal partners, but with all of our local jurisdictions here. It is truly that kind of working relationship that allows something like this to happen on a day like this. The District Attorney's Office is truly critical as we move forward here. So I want to thank Michael Allen and District Attorneys Christina Peroni and Angelina Gradiano for the work that not only they've done so far to date, but also the long road that we still have ahead of us. The Denver Field Office, including Senior Supervisory Agent Bryant Huot and Special Agent Jason Walter, as well as our international federal partners. The U.S. Department of Justice Office of International Affairs, which provided significant assistance to securing Ms. Singler's arrest and extradition. The Metropolitan Police Service of London, the UK National Extradition Unit of the National Crime Agency Joint International Crime Centre, the Crown Prosecution Service of England and Wales and other UK authorities, the State Department, Interpol, and I want to spend a special moment because there's been a tremendous amount of work by CSPD's homicide detectives, our victim advocacy unit, and our crime lab. They've put in countless hours in partnership with these other agencies to make sure that we got here today. Getting Ms. Singler back to Colorado Springs represents the very best of law enforcement collaboration across jurisdictions and even across continents. The efforts to get Singler back were a signal that we are here for the victims in our community. The thing about it is that you can run when you commit a crime in our jurisdiction, but we will do everything we can. We will partner with everybody that we need to partner with, and we will find you and we will bring you back, and that's what we did in this particular case. To our 13-year-old survivor and the family, of those 2 children, I want to tell you that we are here. This is a great day, and this is a great step, but it's one step closer to justice. We still have a little ways to go, and I want you to know that everybody that is standing up here, the FBI, the DA's office, all of our local partners, and the Colorado Springs Police Department are going to be walking with you on that path every single day. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Marv Massey, who is the acting special agent in charge for the Denver Field Division of the FBI.
All right. 2 years ago, 2 children were killed here in Colorado Springs, and today the process of seeking justice for them takes another step forward, and the FBI is part of that because of the strong partnerships we have in southern Colorado. We've worked closely in the recent past with the Colorado Springs Police Department and the 4th Judicial District Attorney's Office, working to locate the suspect in the death of 2 children, and then assisting in her extradition was a good fit for the FBI. We have agents and resources overseas, in this case, the FBI law enforcement attaché in London. Our overseas offices, commonly known as legats, serve as a bridge to our international partners and a conduit for strengthening the global rule of law. FBI agents and other personnel stationed worldwide work to protect Americans back home by building relationships with principal law enforcement, intelligence, and security services. For this case, the FBI London Legat team worked with the National Extradition Unit of the United Kingdom National Crime Agency to locate and apprehend the suspect. We coordinated with the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of International Affairs, along with the London Metropolitan Police as the legal process unfolded and plans for the extradition became a reality. FBI agents assigned to Colorado Springs traveled with Colorado Springs Police Department officers for the handover, working with the District Attorney's Office to ensure a solid chain of custody for the evidence. The result you see here today is possible because of the strong partnerships of our law enforcement team, both here and abroad. The FBI will continue to support efforts of local partners to keep communities safe and seek justice for victims wherever in the world that takes us. With that, I'll turn back over to DA Allen.
Thank you.
I want to just finish up with just some closing comments. The trial team for this case going forward will be myself and then Christina Peroni and Angelina Gratiano. Christina and Angelina have been with this office for a long time. They're both senior deputy DAs, and they're both very well equipped to handle a case of this magnitude. And in fact, they've already put in a ton of work on this case to get it to the point that it is today. And it's an honor of mine to be able to work alongside 2 very well-established and professional prosecutors. One thing that I also want to finish with is that today can feel like a finish line, but it's nothing like a finish line. This is just the first step in a long process that lays ahead of us in seeking justice for the victims and making sure that this defendant, like all defendants, are given a fair trial process, and that any convictions that we achieve will sustain themselves forward through the appeal process. And that's why it's important that I mentioned earlier that all defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty. That applies to this defendant just as much as it is to any other defendant in the criminal justice system. But we will do our best to make sure that justice is served in this case and that that defendant is given a fair trial and that the victims are served through this process. And then I want to echo the things that the chief and special agent in charge up in Denver, Marvin Massey, just mentioned. Collaboration is the key to getting results like this. Without strong partnerships in our law enforcement community, you don't see these kind of results happening in a case as complex as this that involves international politics and treaties and extradition processes that can take years. Some extradition processes from the UK back to the United States have taken upwards of a decade. So to have this result close within just 2 years is pretty remarkable. So I want to thank all of the partners for making sure that that absolutely occurred here today. And then with that, we would open for any questions. Obviously, we're not going to try this case in the media. We will do that through the courtroom. So any factual questions, we are going to defer answering those. But any process questions, depending on what they are, we may be able to answer those. So if there are any questions.
I can start us off. Had child welfare agencies had any prior contact with the family before any of this incident?
Before the initial incident?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's getting too much into the facts of the underlying investigation. We're not going to answer that today. And again, that's to protect the trial process itself. Yes?
Yes, what was the reaction from the victim's family when you told them that Ms. Singler was finally back in the United States after so many years-long extradition process? And what have you told them to prepare them for, like you said, this isn't a finish line, there's still a lot left in the trial?
Yeah, well, you can imagine just in a general sense, anytime victims have to wait this long just to get the sort of criminal justice process started can be very frustrating, and that is surely the case here. There's a sense of relief and knowing that now we can really get started on that justice-seeking process. Any other questions? Yes?
You mentioned that there's some cases that take up to decades to be able to have the extradition process move forward. What was the difference with Ms. Singler's case that was able to push that to 2 years?
Well, so the question is, why is this case different than other cases in extradition that because this case was able to get extradited within 2 years as opposed to longer periods of time? I think ultimately that comes down to the collaboration between our local partners working with, Department of Justice, State Department, and then our partners in the UK as well, making sure that we had good communication with them, getting them the information they needed to be able to work this through as quickly as they possibly could. And then also just really strong diligence and work from their end too to make sure that the courts had the information they needed to make a good, sound decision. And that's where we are today.
Is there any update with that surviving child with, how they're doing or if they're living with the grandma or just anything you can just
Yeah, I'm going to defer questions on that just because it could delve into the facts. The question is, are there any updates on the surviving child? She's now 13 years old. She will be, as you can guess, she'll be an integral witness for us in the trial, subsequent trial. So we're going to stay away from some of those questions for now. But I appreciate the question.
Singler's representation in the UK had made some comments claiming that there were flaws within the CSPD investigation, specifically that her daughter's witness statement was non-voluntary. Is there any response or thoughts or comments that you would like to kind of give in relation to those?
Yeah, so the question is based on Singler's representation in the UK, making claims that her interview and any confessions or statements that she might have made in the investigation were involuntary when it was being investigated by CSPD. That's getting really into the facts. There are going to be tons of issues that we're going to litigate in this case prior to us getting to trial. I'm sure that will be one of them. But I can tell you that in a general sense, not this case specifically, but in a general sense, CSPD, Colorado Springs Police Department, especially under the leadership of Chief Vasquez, is one of the preeminent law enforcement agencies in the United States. I'm very confident in their investigation. I know the investigators that worked on this case put in a ton of hard work to give us the best possible case for prosecution going forward. Yes.
Question for me. I know you mentioned it or it was mentioned earlier on, but just to kind of wrap it up, what is the process now with her case moving forward after today?
Yeah, so the question is, what is the process going forward from today going forward? And I mentioned it in my statements at the beginning. So in the coming days, she'll have basically a bond advisement and a first appearance. That will be fairly quick. It'll be probably by video. She will then be given the right to a preliminary hearing. That's required to be held within 30 days of her first appearance. It's not uncommon for a case of this magnitude that defense may ask for more time to be prepared for that preliminary hearing. So don't be surprised if it actually occurs later than 30 days. And then at that preliminary hearing, that's when we'll present some evidence to satisfy the court that we have enough evidence to move towards trial. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I want to thank you all for being here today, and Merry Christmas to you all.